Huh. Hello, class. Welcome to the session. I think today is the fourth class, I guess. So last class we have discussed about the literary forms, about the poetry detailedly, about what are the literary forms in the poetry, what kind of poetry comes under which frame, which category, and how to look at as a literature student, how to look at the poetry, and recognize in which frame the author or the writer has written his or her poetry. So mainly there are many frames which author has usually tends to write the poetry, but we mostly discussed sorry we the important kinds of poetry we have discussed in the last class. I will just give you a quick brush on the literary terms of literary forms, which we have to, as a literature student, we have to know um, the features and the rules and the metric terms. Is it a sonnet? Is it a quarter line or the octa? So we have to understand. We discussed about the acrostic poem. I'll take you there. We discussed about acrostic poem, we discussed about ballad, we discussed about burlesque, and we discussed about concrete poem, dramatic monologue, elegy, epithalamium, and idyll, and limerick. So we all know now which poem comes under a ballad, or which poem comes under the concrete poem, or if it is an elegy or an ode, a memoriam for your loved ones. So we understood about these terminologies, right? And we also discussed about the examples of all these literary forms we know now. We discussed about Maya Angelou's sonnets, right? And then we discussed about William Shakespeare's English sonnet, and we know what is Italian sonnet. Okay, and we also discussed about the lines, and two tercets, 6 lines is a sestet, and if it is broken into two trisets, it is so we understood about all. We got a brief knowledge about all these terms, right? And now, today, we are going to discuss about the drama. We ended the class yesterday with the drama. So now we will discuss about what all the objectives of the literary forms drama has, and we'll try to know the elements of drama. And as we have discussed in the poetry, what kinds of poetry like sonnet, ballad, even in the same way, what drama is into, how many types of drama do we have, we have multiple ones, or we are stick to any two three dramas. We'll discuss about that, all the things in today's class. And in poetry, as author, the narrator has told that in a simple words, what is poetry? We discussed poetry is best words in the best order, right? Putting the best words in the best order. That's what. And the poetry is all about sound, rhythm, beat, words, playing with the words. So if you understand what is poetry or a poem, so it is the best words in the best order. That's the reason we tend to remember the poems much rather than the drama lines or novel lines or anything. If it is a poetry, we tend to remember. We do remember our childhood um, poems and rhymes because of the beats, rhythm of the sound. It makes us excited, and it sits in our memory forever. For example, whatever the poems we teach to our children, we all remember till date. Even we exceed our age also. If we go to 60s or 70s, also we still remember um, the poems because of their sound, beat, rhythm, verse, etc. Now, so as poetry is b- um, putting the best words in the best order. Just like that, what is drama? Drama is nothing but the imitation of the life. So I think I have explained all these. I mean, the meaning of drama, why drama, what drama is all about. So whatever the we try to bring or imitate someone's life in the drama. So it depends upon all the emotions we show in the drama, the conflicts in the drama, the dialogues, the action, the characters also, right? So we all discussed about all these things. So drama is imitating and portraying someone's life as ours life. We are not, we are nowhere related to the person, but still we try to come up with all the emotions, with all the necessary things as a character, as a director or a character or a narrator wants. So the imitating of life, someone's life, is called drama. So now, what are the elements of the drama? As we also discussed, there are so many elements in the poetry. Even drama also have some elements. So now, um, let us discuss about the elements in the drama. So first, the first and the foremost thing, the drama, the elements of the drama is theme, the theme and the subject. So you cannot, for example, you cannot take a for example, a food theme, and you cannot do a comedy in that, right? So the if you're taking theme called food, so your story should all circle or relate into the food theme. The subject is food. So you, if you are writing a drama or novel or a poetry, your theme should run around the story. Okay. So that is what, because you cannot take but some authors tend to take some complicated terms, but still it revolves, it rotates in your story. So theme and subjects are the primary elements in drama. And the next is story and plot. So without story, without the manuscript, we cannot play a drama just like that, right? First, we need our story. How the story is. Is the story is about the love story or an emotion or someone's autobiography? So beat any story, you should have a manuscript. You should have you should first write your story, how it goes. So there is a graph for a story. The story first starts in a pace, a simple pace, then in between it goes high. That means the story somewhere has a conflict or a fight or a something. Then it fall back to the climax. Then it ends. So any story you take it, it is like that. So you need a story, a plot. This is a second element, and definitely you need a setting, right? Without a set, there is no, you cannot imitate. Imagine without a set and doing a drama, it is just like the play we do at a school or something like that. So you cannot. That's why if you see, for example, if you take a Bahubali movie, that's a good example where Rajamouli has created as a big Bahubali set where they have, directed the movie, and it is still there till date. You can go and check it out. So the set is very, very, very important even now. Even in AI, I don't think so. Um, After AI, we don't need much sets because all uh, AI does all the work. But still, back then, set is also very important. And dramatic structure. If there is no dramatic structure, no author, no audience gonna see your um, theater, no audience gonna see your play or gonna read your novel. There should be something excited, surprising elements in your book. That is the dramatic structure. Then there are characters, and then there dialogues do play a very important role, because why, I'll tell you. For example, if you take why they tend to movie people tend to, of course, we are talking in all genres, whether it is a movie or a writing. Most novels are made as a movie, so that's why it's a good example for me to take it in our daily basis. So now, why and the director or the technician part of a certain movie will release a trailer. Why? Tell me. Because in the trailer itself, they will try to attract the people. So what will be in the trailer? They'll show us the beautiful effects, what a hero has done, some stunts what hero has done in a glimpse, in a 2 3 glimpse. They will give us how the movie is going to be, how excited you should wait, you should be to watch the movie. Then there is an there is that element. They will show you how good are the songs. Then they will also show you with the one or two dialogues. They will try to bring a surprise element or a suspense element in the audience, and they will try to show you a best and better dialogue, what the villain or the antagonist, protagonist, or a comedian, whoever has said it. So they will try to show you, because this is my observation and research. Because whenever I see a trailer, sometimes, not all the time, but whenever I see a trailer and I feel with the dialogues itself, I'll get attracted and I feel that maybe this movie is going to be awesome. Then I go and see the movie. I don't feel like it is a good story. So then you understand that they'll try to attract. So dialogue also plays a very important role as an element in the drama. Then the last and the final, but not the least one, is spectacle. What is spectacle? Spectacle is the visual aspect of drama, and everything that is seen or heard on stage, whether it is an actor or sets, costume, lights, sound, these all contributes to the visual impact, the vision, the eye, whatever we are seeing with the naked eye, visual impact of the play. All plays have spectacle. Some emphasize spectacle more than others, right? Now these are the elements. So now you have understood what do, if I am writing a novel, if I'm trying to play a go and give a theater play, or if I'm going to direct a movie, or whatever it is, what are the elements that you need is the theme and subject, and you want a story and a plot. Then and then you need a setting, then you need a dramatic structure, then you need a characters, and then you need a dialogue, and then spectacle, right? So now you have clearly got what are the elements of drama. So drama is an imitation of We check our progress. What is a drama? Drama is an imitation of our life. Correct. Then drama is basically composed to be. Can anyone give an answer? Drama is basically composed to be in verse or prose. What are the main types of drama? There are four main types of drama, that is tragedy, comedy. When these tragedy and comedy combines together, and there is one more type, that is tragic comedy, and the other one is melodrama. These are the four main types. There are other also, but these took these plays a very prominent role, and these are the main types of a drama. And what is the difference between the theme and the subject? I think I did not tell you that. So, theme is an abstract idea. We are thinking, we are imagining in our mind, and we are bringing some idea. And subject is a concrete object and element through the theme is conveyed. Okay, for instance, if valuating ambition is a central theme of Shakespeare's Macbeth, then the theme is conveyed through the tragic story of Macbeth. Now, so Macbeth is trying to, in Macbeth of Shakespeare, Shakespeare is trying to evaluate ambition and how he is going to get that emotion with the tragic story. So here, tragic story is a subject and evaluating ambition is the theme. That is what is the difference between the theme and subject. And what is the difference between the story and a plot? A story is a series of events recorded according to the sequence in which they occur. Okay, one after the other. For example, a hero is going to the college. There in the bus stand, he meets an heroine. That's how they have their love at first sight. So it is the step by step process. Then the king died, and then the queen died. This is an example. So here in our day-to-day life example, then as I told you, the hero and heroine met. That is the love at first sight. Then how they love each other and what happens at the end. Do they get married or they'll die or whatever it is? That is a sequence of our step-by-step sequence of our story. Now, and what is the plot? Plot means the hero and heroine have met, they love each other, but there will be some antagonist characters, like villain characters, who try to break their relationship. That is called plot. So what happened? We are just telling this happens. Then the hero and heroine fell in love. They love each other. Then they someone has broken their relationship. Because of that heartbreak, heroine dies. So this is the step by step sequences is called story. But why they couldn't lead a life together? What happened? What made them to break down, or what made them to die? So these are that the story running around these characters is called what it is, plot. Now we are done with the elements of drama. Now let's go to the types of drama. Right, so let's understand what are the types of dramas. um we discussed before, there are many kinds of dramas, but the main types of dramas that we are going to learn in our class is comedy, tragic and comedy, and melodrama, right? So now, our first and foremost topic is comedy. And if I say comedy, you think that it's something fun, laughing, and all. But in comedy also, we have many subgenres. Like there is a classic satire, whether it is an romantic comedy or comedy of manners or comedy of humors, sentimental comedy. There is phrase and there is black comedy, right? So there are many subgenres in comedy as well. Let us learn about them now. A literary genre and the type of dramatic work that is amusing and satirical in its tone. That is what comedy means. Mostly has a cheerful ending. There is most of the other, whether you take a poetry mm, or a drama, there is it is not necessary to end with a comedy cheerful ending, or there could be a tragic ending. So, but mostly if you take comedy type of dramas, it is it ends mostly with the cheerful content. The motive of this dramatic work is triumph over unpleasant circumstances by creating comic effects. So when you're going through something bad or you're in a bad phase of the life, so there they try to come up with the dramatic content called comedy. So resulting in happy or successful conclusion. Comedy tends to bring humor and induce laughter. Thus, the primary function of the comedy is to amuse the audience, but even as it amuses the audience, it also portrays social institutions and persons as corrupt and ridiculous. What is saying the primary function of the comedy is to amuse the audience, but even as it amuses the audience, it also portrays social institutions and persons as corrupt and ridicules them through the satirizing, parodying, and poking fun at their vices. By doing this, authors exposes foibles and follies of individuals and society by using comic elements. You understood, right? So it is not only primarily it is not only showing us or it is not only amusing the audience. Comedy, I'm talking about comedy drama, but it what it is doing, it is also portraying the social institutions and and a person. So if a person is a bad person, but it is so showing a bad person in a comedic way, it's not directly showing that the person is bad. It is like an indirect way, and in an um, humor and witty way, also author tries to bring out the person's foibles, follies in a society. In which manner? Again, remember that in a comic elements. So, in comedy, there are subgenres like classic attire. So, let's understand what is a classic attire. In the name itself, we are able to understand what is classic. Something elite, something good, something classy. We call it as classic. And satire. Satire is something like witty comedy. The theater of Greece and Rome. Why we are taking these two places? Because the theater plays are more happening there than any of the other countries back then. Gave us great comedy playwrights like Aristophanes, Terence, and Plautus. Though quite different, all three of these classic writers pioneered the form of comic drama known as satire. In satire, absurdity and comic exaggerations are used to point out some flaw in the society. You understood, right? It is not just amusing people, but it is bringing out some social institutions, social elements in a comedic way. So that is what comes under classic satire. Classic satire examples are Aristophanes, Terence, and Plato. These people have mainly came up with this classical satire, right? So what is there in satire? It is you have absurdity and then there's so hyperbole. There is so much of comic hyperbole, exaggeration. And why they are giving so much of exaggeration? Just to bring out the flaw in the society. So let us know the authors who mainly concentrated, who mainly wrote their books in anything in the classic satire. So the authors are Aristophanes, Horace, Ovid, Petronius, Apuleius. Okay. Aristophanes, what did he write in classic satire? He wrote the frogs, the birds, and the clouds. And Horace wrote satires itself, the name it's by the name itself. Ovid has written the art of love. Petronius has written the Styricon, and the Apuleius has written the Golden Ass. Right? So this is satiric. This is all about the classical satire. All right. A classical satire is nothing but it is just amusing the people, but it is mainly concentrating in the absurdity of a person, and how they are bringing up, they are giving some classic comic exaggeration, the hyperbole thing they are using there, and to bring out the flaw in the people or in the society. Then the next one is romantic comedy. And if I say the romantic word, who is the author coming in our mind is none other than the great Shakespeare, right? A Shakespearean or romantic comedy is one that has a happy ending, usually involving marriages, and a tone and style that is more light-hearted than Shakespeare's other plays. Patterns in comedies include movement to a green world, both internal, external conflicts, and a tension between the Apollonian and the Dionysian values. Shakespeare comedies tend to also include a great emphasis on situations rather than the characters. What happens when this author comes up with this trick? This numbs the audience's connections to the characters, so that when characters experience misfortune, the audience still finds it laughable. A struggle of young lovers to overcome difficulty, often presented by leaders. Separation, reunification, deception of characters, especially mistaken identity. So these all elements you can see when Shakespeare is writing his um, comedy, romantic comedies. Shakespeare is not only a romantic comedy writer, he wrote many other genres. But when he is writing a romantic comedy, he keeps in his mind that he writes in such a way that he always try to come up with a happy ending. And usually in his romantic comedy, it involves marriages and a tone and style. And he puts a more light-hearted than all other genres, whatever he writes. Several of Shakespeare comedies, such as Measure for Measure and All's Well That Ends Well, All's Well That Ends Well, have an unusual tone with a difficult mix of humor and tragedy. So this is these two comedy uh, comedy genres which Shakespeare has written. And these two mm, topics don't not only have just the comedy element in it, it also has a tragic element also. Have an unusual tone with a difficult mixture of humor and tragedy, which has led them to be classified as problem plays. It is not clear whether the uneven nature of these dramas is due to an imperfect understanding of Elizabethan humor and society, or it may be a fault of an Shakespeare's part or a deliberate attempt by him to blend the styles, subvert the audience expectations. By the end of the Shakespearean's life, we had written 17 comedies. How many have Shakespeare wrote in his entire life? He wrote 17 comedies. And he always brings in elements of blends both the elements and come up with the new things. He Shakespeare Shakespeare is such a person who always want to explore in his um in with his talent. He always writes with a new perspective nature. He also comes up with the new elements all the time. So he who wrote many comedies. They are totally he and in entire his life he wrote 17 comedies, right? And both the two of them have mentioned here, that is Measure for Measure and All Is Well which ends well, that ends well, right? These two um, topics have both comedy and tragic. So now most of that don't dare to mix both of them, but our Shakespeare is not in is not it he doesn't he's an odd man out. I mean, he doesn't come under the other writers. He tried to take their steps. So now why he tried, what all he tried to mix humor and tragedy. That is what the example or these two. And then what all he did, he led them to be a classified as a problem place. Then it is not clear that why did he do, it is not clear why did he do, but they mentioned 3 points, like maybe this three might be the reason. And the one of them is to bring out the uneven nature of these dramas is due to an imperfect understanding. So the in the Elizabethan age, because there is no a certain understanding of in the political side or in the society, so he tried to give uneven nature to his elements in the drama as well. And then and then he thought that maybe it is a part for fault of a Shakespeare bringing both of them, and he's wantedly deliberately attempting the blend of the styles to impress the audience, right? This is all about the romantic comedy. Now let us understand what is comedy of humors. And here the author who write the comedy of honors is the Ben Jonson. Concept of humor was an extension of the medieval theory of humors. What is so different about his humor? Let us understand, which was related to the psychological belief that physical, mental, and emotional health of a person was controlled by the four elements, namely earth, air, fire, and water. If all these four elements were in the right proportion and in harmony, then the person's health was perfect. However, if one of these four elements was in excess, then the person's health was affected and he would be classified accordingly as Sungag: air, phlegmatic water, chloric fire, and meloclonic earth. So he's giving certain terms for the excess. If you have excess of air, then you are called as synagogue. And if you have excess of water, phlegmatic, so something like that. He is giving his own terms. Various forms of treatment were enforced during Ben Jonson time to set right the imbalance. So here, when it comes to comedy of humors, you the person who should get in your mind is Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson extended this theory of humors to his comedy of humors. According to him, all human beings suffer from some minor vice or the other. For example, take it lust, self-righteousness, greed, etc. So he personified these vices as characters and exhibited them on the stage so that his audience could see these human follies like their own reflections in a mirror, laugh at themselves and correct themselves. So, what a wonderful way of teaching the audience, right? So, um, first, in the comedy of humors, first Ben Jonson thought that the four elements. What are the four elements? Earth, air, fire, and water. If these four elements are in exact proportionate, every life will goes in a balanced way. Or when if it is a difference, if it is an imbalance in these four elements, then there is an effect of a person's health. So he was trying to um, put his points there about this comedy of women. Then later, what happened is Ben Jonson extended his theory, whatever his theory was about the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water. He put his humors in the comedy of humors. And what is he saying? All the human beings suffer. We said any human being, no human being is perfect, right? Some or the other way, or in any low time or in any tempting time. And every human being has went through something that has troubled them or made some mistake. Every human being came from that phase only. Then so whatever the examples he's giving here is one is lust, one is self-righteousness, and then greed. So we all, some or the other, have some backdrops from some bad qualities in us. So what he did, he personified these elements like greedy, lust, and self-righteousness, lying, or eating more like food, and all these elements, person's elements. He came up with these elements and put them into the person's characters and exhibited them on the stage. Whenever he played such roles, audiences have saw the play and imagined themselves, took themselves that it is me, the character is me. They have seen themselves like a mirror, how we see in a mirror. They have so attached, so related to the character. Then they will understand what are the human follies are. Human follies are nothing but wrongs, mistakes. You can take it as a mistake. They will understand what are our mistakes all, and then they will change their lives. So this is what Ben Jonson did in his place, using the mm, uh, type of uh, literature called comedy of humors. Now, let us check our progress. We learned about comedy. In comedy, we have subgenres like classic attire, and then romantic comedy, and then we discussed about comedy of manners. Now, the primary function of comedy is to humor the amuse the audience. Dash is a characteristic feature of romantic comedy. Can anybody tell what is a characteristic feature of a romantic comedy? Ha- Most it is a happy ending. Comedy of humors is a dramatic genre closely associated with the English playwright called Ben Jonson. In comedy of humors, dash are personified as correct characters. In comedy of humors, sorry. In comedy of humors, who is personified as characters? Human follies are personified as a characters, right? Name the four elements which, according to the theory of humors, control the health of a person. That is what it is: earth, air, fire, and water. Right? Now, let us understand about the term comedy of manners. So these they these two sound alike, but they have a different story to tell. So, what is comedy of manners? Also, restoration comedy or artificial comedy. You can say plastic, right? So, comedy of manners, you can call comedy of manners. It has other names to it. That is restoration comedy, and the other one is artificial comedy. Then, let us understand what is this all about. The prevailing kind of drama in the second half of the 17th century, before the advent of the so-called sentimental comedy. So we'll get to it. Don't worry, we'll learn about sentimental comedy, but just understand before the sentimental comedy has came into existence in the early 18th century. So you understand sentimental comedy has came into existence in the 18th century. In 17th century, after 17th, I mean in between of 17th and 18th century, this comedy of manners have came into existence. And this is all about the you can understand comedy of manners is also said as restoration comedy, and it is kind of an artificial comedy. Now, the comedy of manners depicts a stylish society mainly in the middle and the upper classes. It is concentrating on the middle and upper classes. Its focus is on elegance with characters of fashion and the rank. Okay, this this kind of comedy is running all around the money, fashion, style, how they look like, what are they wearing, what are the makeup styles, what are they driving. So author is trying to concentrate on the middle and the upper class audiences. So rank, but also would be nobles, ambitious, social climbers, fops, story bumpkins, and so on. Its topics are social intrigue, mainly marital and sexual, and also adultery and cuckoldry. Right? So, comedy of humors is all about persons persons second other coin of the characters. A person has all good in him and some bad in him. So in comedy of humors, you, it is like concentrating on the bad part of the person character, and then learning the lesson, and then leaving the bad quality and living the rest of the life happily. This is what it is. But in the comedy of manners, in the comedy of manners, it is all about depicts it is all about the middle and upper class people. What How are the mindsets of the middle and upper class people? If you guess, it is all about thriving all the time to become rich, to work hard, and to bring our family, our thing to one step towards the luxury. So we are not either poor or we are not either rich, but we try to act as rich, and we try to do the fashion, styling, buying buying something which is not our thing, which we don't need. So he concentrate on the middle and upper class minds. So the comedy of manners is all about that, but only not about the bad things of it. It also has its other side of the coin, that is nobles, would be nobles, um, uh, like middle and upper class only run not only run towards the fashion, style, money, luxury, sexual things, lust, and all of that, but also they are noble, they are very ambitious. There are the people who are social climbers, there are fobs, there are country bumpkins, and so on. These topics are social intrigues, mainly marital and sexual, and also identitarian. So this also affected this kind of side also. So this is all about comedy of manners. And who wrote mostly in the style of comedy of manners is William and Apra Behan and William. There are two Williams, that is William Vickerley and William Congreve. William Congreve wrote The Way of the World, and the William Vickerley wrote The Country Wife. You by the theme, by the subject, you can get it is a comedy of manners because it is talking about wife. So that is could be some extramarital affair or marital sexual status. So as we discuss, comedy manners also includes this, so that it is what it is. The way of the world is like maybe about the mindsets of the lower and middle class. It's all about the mindsets of the lower and middle class who are the social climbers, right? So then the Apra Behan has wrote two parts of the Rover. The Rover he wrote in 1677, and in 1681 he wrote the second part of it. All right. This is all about comedy of manners. Then we'll talk about sentimental comedy. Sentiment. It's something related to sentiment, also called drama of sensibility. So it has the other name. Sentimental comedy has the other name. It is called also called as sensibility. The dominant comic genre after Restoration comedy, popular entertainment for the middle classes in the 18th century. This sentimental comedy has came into existence after, for the middle class in the not after, in the 18th century, and which this is after restoration comedy. It appeared as a reaction against the immoral and licentious comedy of manners, which emphasized vices and faults of people. Sentimental comedy focused on the virtues of private life with simple and honorable characters. Some typical example can be found in the work of Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Steele. However, on the whole, the genre did not prove to be as enduring as it pre predecessors, and it is not often performed anymore. So it is not in the hand, it is not in the boom anymore. It was there. uh, they did few experiments with the sentimental comedy. It did not reach people much, so it has stopped. So who are the main authors of sentimental comedy? It is Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Steele. You can see there, these are all the books they have written. And there is a new term called phrase. Let's understand what is phrase. Okay, drama. Okay. A comic dramatic piece that uses highly improbable situations, stereotyped characters, extravagant exaggerations. So, here in phrase is generally regarded as intellectually and aesthetically inferior to comedy. It is a one step ahead of the comedy. Phrase is a one step ahead of the comedy in its crude characterizations and impossible plots, but it has been sustained by its popularity in performance and has persisted throughout the Western world, right? So, phrase is something ahead, much ahead than the all the other comedies. You can understand that. Phrase is generally regarded as an intellectual one and an aesthetical inferior to the all the comedies genres. Okay, and but because it has sustained very well for a longer period of time, because it has its own audience, that means the popularity in performance and persisted throughout the Western world to the present, it is still there. So it is a form of low comedy whose intention is to provoke simple mirth in the form of roars of laughter and not smiles. It uses exaggerated physical action, character, and absurd situation with improbable events, a complex plot, with events rapidly succeeding one another, pushing character and dialogue into the background. The origins of the genre are not clear, but precisial elements can be found already in the plays of Aristophanes and Plutus. In English literature, even parts of Shakespeare comedy of errors or the taming of the shrew together with the Falstaff's plays. Okay. Phrase can be classified. These all things can be classified as phrase. And Oliver Goldsmith also wrote in phrase, and she troops to corner. This is a work he has written in 1773. Oscar Wilde, The Importance of Being Earnest. And next, talk about the comedy. Black comedy will end up with the all the comedy elements over here. This form, the black comedy, is kind of translated from the French comédie noire of drama, which displays cynicism and disillusionment. Human beings without hope or convictions, their lives controlled by fate or unknown and incomprehensible powers, like supernatural powers. A genre popular in the second half of the 20th century when the absurd predicament of mankind is increasingly in the focus of literatures. And who wrote in black comedy? Aristophanes again, Francois, rebellious Pantagruel, Jonathan Swift, and Volunteer Candid. These people wrote in black comedy, right? Then we all understood today what all the in comedy, what are all the subgenres. right? So just to brush it up, drama is more of fictional representation through dialogue and performance, unlike poetry. It is a literary genre which is an imitation of some action. Drama intend to replicate the human behavior and action in the midst of the tragedy everyday life. There are two main genres of drama, that is tragedy and comedy. Two other important types of drama are melodrama, tragic comedy. Although different kinds of drama have different features, all of them contain certain common elements of drama, such as theme, subject, story and plot, characters, dialogues, and spectacle. Right? If it is any drama, if it is any tragedy, whatever the subgenre is, in comedy, there are all classical satire, there is phrase, and there is comedy of manners, comedy of humors, whatever it is, but the elements of the drama should be as theme and subject. There should be a story and plot. There should be a characters in it, dialogues, and spectacle. Someone should see. Someone wit should be there to witness. Right. So the another literary form of drama is tragedy, a bunch of drama that treats in serious and dignified style the sorrowful or a terrible events encountered or caused by a heroic individual. By extension, the term may be applied. Okay, I didn't know we run short of the time. Let's discuss about the tragedy tomorrow. All this is all for the day, and let's call it for a day. Take care and bye.